me in the kitchen today. We're gonna make some apple pie. But what? What's the special ingredient? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back to Sweet Bailey Acres. I kind of wanted to take us out of the canning today and move us into just having some fun with cooking in the kitchen. And around a lot of homesteads, you find that a lot of the recipes, especially for desserts, have a lot of sugar in them or all-purpose flour. And I just wanted to kind of take us out of that for a little bit and teach you how to make a really great dessert that tastes just like an apple pie, but is better for you, and it's using a vegetable. And so I want us to go ahead and get started with that. And I'm taking a recipe out of a book that I've been putting together for my family. These are the recipes that we've tried and loved. So I want to go through and show you how to make the pie crust and then show you how to make that special filling for the pie that we're going to have today. So, you know, a lot of people can't do sugar, or they're trying not to do as much sugar because of what it does to their body. And so whether you're keto, whether you're low carb, whether you're diabetic, or whether you just want to have a healthier option, this is a really great option for you. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with making the pie crust. The ingredients you're going to need for today is you're going to need some almond flour, some sweetener like erythritol or monk fruit. You're going to need sea salt, butter, egg, and vanilla. For our pie crust. So go ahead and gather up those items, and we're going to put a pie crust together, and then we'll work on the filling. Make sure you go ahead and set your oven for 350 degrees. This pie crust is super easy to make, and if you don't want to use the ingredients, like I'm going to use almond flour today, and you want to use flour, that's okay too, because the ratios are 1-to-1. So everything that I'm doing today, you can literally do a 1-to-1 ratio for a regular pie with flour or sugar, or you can use the ingredients that I'm doing today. So know that you can do it both ways. So I have our mixer here, and we're gonna add some almond flour to it. And we're gonna add 2.5 cups of almond flour. And so I just have my almond flour here, and I leave all the nutritional information in a baggie in it, so that way we know. But you're just going to take and measure out 2.5 cups and put it in the bowl. I mean, seriously, guys, this is the easiest pie crust, and it's so good. So we're going to put 2.5 cups in. Let's see, that's 1.5, 2, and 2.5. And this is almond flour. If you want to add 2.5 cups of regular flour, that's okay too. Next, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of what I use, and I not really have anything to do with this brand, but I really like this brand. But it is a monk fruit erythritol blend, which is a great substitute. That's a natural substitute for people who can't have sugar, or you don't want sugar, or you're trying to do keto or low carb. But if you want to do sugar in this recipe, it is the exact same amount for sugar as if you were to use this monk fruit erythritol blend. And when I use the monk fruit erythritol blend, I tend to use the powdered kind. I just like the way it blends up better and the way it kind of forms into what I'm baking or cooking better. So we want to add 1/3 of a cup of this. Or you can add 1/3 of a cup of sugar. Okay. So let's put that right there in the bowl. Okay, next for my recipe is 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I use pink Himalayan salt. And I just go ahead and I just kind of take my spoon and just kind of mix it up a little bit, just to get it all mixed in. Okay, so next we're going to start adding some wet ingredients in. And I have 1/4 cup here of melted butter. So you want to go ahead and preheat that or leave it out melted. And we're going to go ahead and dump that in. Okay, all my butter's in there. And next we're going to add in 1 large egg, which the girls gave me today, and I already washed it off, so thank you, chicken girls that we have. We're going to go ahead and crack that in there. So 1 large egg. And then we're going to add 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla. But come on, I never add 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla. When I'm adding vanilla, I tend to add a lot more. But let's just go ahead and add the 1 to 2 teaspoons. There we go. All right, next you're just going to mix it together. And then we're going to put it in our pie pan. Okay, you're going to see that your pie crust is pretty thick. It almost feels kind of like a cookie dough. This is a really good dough. So that looks good. I'm going to get the pie pan and we're going to put it together. I have our pie pan and I've already greased it. You can use butter, you can use a spray. If you have a non-stick pan, you may not even have to grease it, but I went ahead just to make sure we don't have any sticking. I'm going to go ahead and take our pie crust now and kind of spread it out in the bottom of the pan. And you're just going to mush it into place. And try and make it even all the way around. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven and we're going to get it to a light brown and then we're going to remove it. Because we don't want it to cook all the way through, because once we put the pie filling in, then we're going to put it back in and it'll cook some more. So spread it all the way around. You can make a cute design on top if you want to. I'll tell you what, this is a really great way to get your kid to eat their veggies and love the veggies. So if you have a kid, luckily I have a kid that likes vegetables, but if you have a kiddo that does not like vegetables, this is a great way to get some of those vegetables in their diet. Okay, so I just spread it all the way around. If you want to do some finger, prints on it and make a cute little design around the edge, you can. My family could care less. When I do those fancy things, they're like, they just want to inhale it. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But if you want to, go ahead and make a cute little design. And then what I do is I take a fork and I poke some holes in the bottom before I put it in the oven. Okay, this is ready to go into the oven. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven and then we're going to work on the pie filling. Okay, so when you put this in the oven, you're going to put it in for about 10-12 minutes until it's just lightly brown, and then you're going to remove it. So our pie crust is in the oven. I have our timer set for 10 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and work on the pie filling. And I didn't mention earlier, but if you have someone or know someone who has celiac or is gluten intolerant, this is a really great dessert that they can have that's gluten-free. So if you know anyone, you might want to recommend this to them, share it with them, because it really might make their day that they can have a really great pie that tastes like apple pie and not have the gluten in their diet. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm taking some zucchinis and I'm just peeling off the outside peeling, throwing it in a bowl for the pigs for later. And thank you to the subscriber who sent us these peelers. They're wonderful and we love them. And I really like how some of them have the different textures on them. It just makes it more fun. So thank you so much for giving us these, and I really appreciate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're just going to cut up our zucchini into pieces, just like you would if it was an apple. Okay. And I try and make them a little bit bigger. I try not to make them too small because I want the zucchini to stay firm like an apple would. So So with this recipe, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need some zucchinis. You're going to need lemon juice, water, a sweetener of some kind, whether you choose to use sugar or you choose to use the monk fruit erythritol sweetener like I do. Also, instead of using cornstarch, which you can use, I use arrowroot. You can also add your own seasoning, so you can use cinnamon, nutmeg, or you can even do just an apple pie spice, which is what I prefer to do. It's just have it all together, already pre-made apple pie spice. So let's go ahead and we're going to put our zucchini in the bowl. See how many we can get here. We may have to alter the recipe a little bit depending on how much we have. Okay. Yeah, I love these pillars. Thank you, subscriber, so much. Okay. Actually, when we were doing the carrot canning video the other day, these are what my husband used to peel all of our carrots, and he really liked them because he can get mad at some of the peelers, and he liked those ones. All right, so I'm just gonna throw my scraps in the bowl for the pigs. They will be very happy. They love it when I give them fresh vegetable and fruit scraps. So, and I got one more here I can peel. The recipe calls for 4 cups. So we'll see just how many we get here. And if we don't have 4 cups, we'll just make a little adjustment. And I just cut it down the middle, and then I just kind of cut it into three different parts, and then cut up my pieces. Seems to work really good. Seems to keep the pieces big enough, not too small, so that way they're still kind of chewy when we're eating them versus mushy. Okay. The other thing you can do with this pie filling is you can always make a whole bunch and then freeze it in containers for later, and then that way it's really easy to just get out and make a quick little zucchini apple pie. Zucchini is so versatile. It's kind of similar to cauliflower in that it takes on the flavor of whatever you're cooking with it. So I use it in a lot of different dishes because it gives substance and to the dishes and helps to, you know, just have more items in the dish. But it takes on that taste and flavor of whatever you're making. And so the family, I mean, we like zucchini, but if we didn't, they don't even notice that it's zucchini. Other than that you might bite down on it and you're like, oh, what's this? But I love it because it is so versatile. Oh, I think we're definitely gonna have 4 cups. Okay. I might save that other one for something else. So what I did, it looks like it took 2 zucchinis to do this. Sometimes it takes more, just depending on the size. If you get some small zucchinis, it might take 3. If you get some large ones, it may only take like 1 or 1.5. So you might buy an extra one just in case for when you get home, because you don't want to be short on zucchinis. And that was our timer for our crust. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I took our pie crust out. You can see the pie crust has kind of some light brown around the edges. Okay, because remember, we're not trying to cook it all the way. We're just trying to get it kind of lightly browned before we put the pie filling on. So I'm just now going to set this aside, and we're going to finish working on our filling. Okay, so I have our 4 cups of zucchini here. We're going to dump it into a bowl. Now that we have our zucchini in a bowl, what I'm going to do, and remember this is 4 cups of zucchini, I'm going to take 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and I'm just going to toss the zucchini around inside of the bowl with this. Okay, that will help to keep both your apples and your zucchini from changing colors while you're preparing the rest of the mixture. Okay, plus it'll just give a little tartness to them when we're making it. So just toss them around in the lemon juice. All right, let's work on the sauce. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 cups of water and put it into a saucepan. We're going to add some sweetener, whether you want to use sugar or the monk fruit sweetener like I'm doing. You want to add 1 1/3 cup of sweetener. When you're working with monk fruit erythritol, especially the powdered kind, it really kind of moves up when you're working with it. So add in your 1 1/3 cup. You can also use the granulated kind. That's okay too. And I have the granulated kind as well, but I just really like this one. Okay, and then you want to stir it around a little bit. And then we're going to add some arrowroot. And we're going to go ahead and add 1/3 cup. Now, if you want to add cornstarch, you can. It would be the exact same amount. So we're going to add 1/3 cup of arrowroot. And this is just to help thicken up our pie filling. So 1/3 cup of arrowroot. And then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Go ahead and stir because you don't want it to stick in the bottom. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add our seasoning too. And I have some ground cinnamon as well as nutmeg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of the cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of the nutmeg. And if you want more, go ahead and add more. More flavor is always better, right? So sometimes I will add more, like that one's a heaping teaspoon. Go ahead and add it in. And then we're going to go ahead and add in 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Okay, now we want to bring this to a boil. So stir it around, get it all mixed in. Make sure you stay with it because you don't want it to be sticking to the bottom. So stir it around, stay with it, mix it, and we'll come back when this is boiling. Okay everyone, we're getting a little boil going on here and you can see it's starting to thicken up. That arrowroot really gets it going fast. So now that it's boiling, I've let it boil for about 2 minutes. And so I'm going to go ahead and add in our zucchinis into the mix. And do it slowly because you do not want that boiling mixture to pop up on you. So be extra careful, y'all. Okay. So we're just going to stir this in and we're going to let it boil for another, 5-6 minutes and just see kind of where we're at. So mix it in real good, get all that yummy goodness all over those zucchinis. And you can even see, don't they look like apples? Because they got the green on them from the zucchini a little bit still left over. And they look just like apples. And guys, I'm telling you, this pie is amazing. You're going to love it. So like I said, if you want a really great dessert and you don't want to feel bad about it and you want a great dessert that you can take to a party, especially if you're watching what you're eating, this is a great dessert to take to a party and you can eat your own dessert and feel great about it. Okay, so let's let this boil for another 5 minutes and then we'll come back and we're going to put it in our pie shell and we're going to put it in the oven. So when you were baking the pie crust, the temperature was 350. Once you add the filling and you put it back in the oven, you want your temperature to be 325. So make sure you lower that temperature down before you put this pie back in the oven. Okay guys, this pie smells so good. All right, so check this out. Look at how thick and yummy goodness this is. Oh my gosh, y'all. I just can't get enough. And as you cook this, and then as it cools down some, it's gonna get even thicker and it's gonna be so good. So I have our pie crust here. We're gonna go ahead and put our apples in our pie filling. And I did use a little bit smaller of a pie pan, so I might save some of those for later. And what I'm gonna do with the extras that I have here is I'm gonna put them in some muffins. Some muffins are really, really good. They love it when I chop them up and I put them in the middle of the muffin. They eat and break into it and eat it. So you can put them in muffins, you can let it cool and put it in the freezer and save it for a pie later. You can just eat it as cinnamon sugar apples for a dessert, for dinner or for lunch or whatever you'd like. You can put it on top of some ice cream. Oh my goodness, that sounds so good on top of some vanilla ice cream. But okay, anyway, I'm making myself hungry. So let's go ahead and we're gonna put this in the oven, and you're gonna put it in the oven for about 40 minutes. So, and let it finish cooking. A tip, if you do not like the edges of your pie to be browned, because they can get kind of a darker brown, just add a little bit of aluminum foil all around the edge of the pie crust, and that will help keep them from turning brown. But if you don't care, that's fine anyways. You don't have to worry about the aluminum foil. But I wanted to give you that tip because some people they like their, even around the crust, the edge to be nice and soft. So if you do, just add that aluminum foil. All right, so I will meet you back here as soon as that pie is done. It smells so good in this house right now. And the pie is out, and you can see I did not add the aluminum foil around the edge, so you can see my edges are really kind of dark and crispy. And so what you're gonna do is now you're just gonna let this sit. And as it sits and kind of cools for a little bit, it's gonna thicken up, and your family is gonna be enjoying this so much. So if you enjoyed this video today, I strongly encourage you to like and share, and please subscribe to our channel. It's the best way for you to get our videos quickly. And from Sweet Bailey Acres, have a blessed day.